Okay, so we're picking back up from... Oh yeah, we're gonna go get lunch or something with the mama. With the mamacita. Okay. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so he ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city and that she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunsetburg. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Well, that's cute. Look at those little flowers. The yellow ones, it's so cute. If only I were good at taking care of plants. I try. Kyra lowered herself into the chair while Cove picked up the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to the side. What? It was awkward. Sounds awkward. Let's see, to start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Noted. I didn't know she was gonna talk for me. Evie? Just water. I mean, how old am I? I'm young. I would just pick water with, like, lemon. Yeah, lemon. Lemon or anything, there's sugar on the table. Lemon. Alright, Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. He glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into a seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all of this was perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he'd brush off, she had mercy on her son and put the focus towards you. So, Evie, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. Oh my god, that's a lot of options. I'm really into Cove. Just be really upfront, I guess. I mean, I'm playing a game right now. Games are fun. I like to play video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you could show me sometime. And I like to spend time on art. And I hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. Fashion. I love clothes. Understandable. I just love the way fashion lets you express yourself no matter who you are. I love shoes. I'm trying to get more, but Mom thinks I have enough already. Can a person really ever have too many shoes? I like jewelry, sure. Oh yeah, it's hard to resist those little shiny treasures. She lifted her wrists as she spoke, jingling the many bracelets that were hanging around it. And I like to read fiction novels. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. Non-fiction. I bet you know a lot of... I bet you'll know about a lot of things then. Apparently know how to read. And I like to watch movies. She nodded her head and guessed she must like that too. I like people watching. Unique hobby. I like plays. And I like music. I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on. I've seen some concerts. And I go to the beach and that's it. I guess I look for shells. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. I like to walk along the shore. That's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. And I like... Nope. Type in the sport you play. Okay. Got it. Okay. Oh, shit. I'm supposed to go for it. Nature walks. And running. Oh. Nature walks. Oh, don't pluralize the word. Nature walk? Okay. Oh my god. I play nature walk. It's great. And I write things. Sure. I like to-do lists. Hey, fellow writer. Writing's a great form of expression, don't you think? She sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. I'm really into Cove. Kyra let out a sudden laugh and Cove gasped beside you. It was dramatic enough an inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You shrugged at the reaction. It was a truthful answer to the question. Evie, Cove whispered about at you disapprovingly, obscuring the part of his face with a hand. But Kyra only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. We spend time together when we can. I like it. Well, we have something in common. Kyra smiled at Cove, who didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. And that's it.
Thanks.
Alright, I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves out the details. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell that he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would be clear some... Oh, wait. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. He hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. Okay, that's sure. Where do you live normally? That's not why I'm laughing. Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. What do you like to do? I'm so nosy. Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? Are you in a new relationship? She brushed off the question lightly. Not at present. Why'd you get a divorce? Just having lunch. Why'd you get a fucking divorce? Alright, Cove nudged you in the arm, and when you looked at him, he seemed furious. Kyra brushed off the question lightly. That's grown-up stuff. You should enjoy your youth while you can without having to worry about all that. That's a good answer. Oh god. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along and ended up making lunch better or worse. You smiled at him. Cove eventually noticed you watching him. It took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile and that made you feel lighter inside.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together. He covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Mom, why would you say that? No. I don't know. Yeah, you just laughed. It was definitely unexpected, and there didn't seem to be any other way you could react. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain, please, why you had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward not to miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year. That you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I don't. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it would be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Aw, poor dude. Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We'd both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caught both you and Cove to crack a smile. What's a Clifford surprise? You also had no idea. Oh my god! His name's Clifford! Duh, the dad, I don't remember his name. I thought it was just Mr. Holden. Damn. Alright, for over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out and not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We could still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. Oh, my heart. Yeah. Alright. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop. I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. She's so cute. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission. Though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No!
Oh goodness, no! Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand, we could shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Evie. What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom. She just rolled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You hadn't eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. He has such fabulous hair, huh? You know what? He looks like Elliot from Stardew Valley a little bit, right? Except for like more hipster. But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family. And Evie too. Cliff. Dad. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. I'm in trouble. He rode the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Evie. You too, Mr. Holden. Alright, with that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it started out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. Wow. Oh god. Let's just do... What's a soiree? Escapade. Alright, let's do family. Let's save. We'll save here. Alright. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. Who's Lee? Is that my cousin? A small spread was laid out in front of you. Some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk about the musical she had gone to see a few days ago. Oh, it is the cousin. Okay. She looks like such like a little like a la-di-da, you know? What does that mean? A la-di-da. Like, I don't know, like she'd play with like princesses and shit. It was unbelievable. They were singing, dancing, crazy stunts, and it was done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've gotta see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it too. You got the chance to hear her sing a couple of times, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. You liked to sing, but you weren't very good. That didn't stop you from doing it, though. Damn straight it doesn't. Alright, I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come and watch too. It'd totally work. Yeah, I'll give it a go, sure. It wasn't something you'd really thought about before, but if Lee wanted to do it, then you could at least give it a shot. Lee clapped in excitement and bounced on the balls of her feet, beyond happy that you were on board with her idea. Woo! Ooh! Alright. Do you want to... Wait, I'm gonna sing. Do you want it to, or maybe do something else? Oh, God. I'll make the backdrop? Sure, why not? Alright, yes. That would make it a real show. I'll paint something. The thought of your painting kit You thought of your painting kit back home. You could definitely use it to make something for the show. You just hope there would be a large enough piece of paper or cardboard for a backdrop. Is there anything else that's coming to your head? Yeah, one more thing. I'll pick the outfits. That's a great job for you. You always dress so fashionably. Is there anything else? One more thing. Oh, goodness. Can I just help write the song? I'll make more. I'll sew something. You were pretty handy with the needle and thread, and you had your own little sewing box in your room back home. I think that'll make an amazing show. You've got things pretty covered. The two of you ran back to your house to grab supplies you needed, dodging your mom's amused questions, before heading back out to the blanket to get started. You set your sewing box beside you on the blanket and spread out the fabric you had grabbed to use for the backdrop. Lee and you discussed the plans in detail, settling on a song first, and then practicing our parts for the show. The afternoon passed quickly, the sun dropping lower and lower in the sky, and after having thoroughly worked out how the show was going to go, you decided to take a break. Oh, you know, we should have invited Cove to watch us practice our show. He can tell if it's bad before we put on the real thing. Oh. Yeah, that's smart. We should ask him to watch us later. Okay. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Oh! Yeah, he's a good person. I knew you'd think so. So, exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet? Lee wriggled her eyebrows at you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. Yeah, of course, yeah, sure. Her eyes sparkled in an instant like she just hit the jackpot.
What?
Who is it? Cove? I'm Mr. Holden? Damn. Hi. Oh, I could go for the mom. Oh, mamacita, hatina, someone from school. That could be anyone. Tell me something else about them, please. This news was just too exciting. She wasn't going to be deterred. You weren't surprised when Lee started squeezing you for more details and you answered as much as you were comfortable with. The two of you talked about your preferences and who you liked and stuff. You found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sorts of things. Finally, you both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Lee talked excitedly about the show as you did, and you thought back on what you had already accomplished for it. You could definitely do with a little more practice, but what you had so far was a solid foundation for the performance. Oh, Jesus, why is everybody so mad? Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you and Lee frowning slightly. You'd interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. Hi?
Oh.
Hi, Evie. Hello, Lee. Welcome back. The room felt quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop because these two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Ooh, what'd she do? Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your moms nodded in agreement with her.
Well...
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. Oh! The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand. Why was this happening now? When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just never thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now, so... Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upward in surprise. Wait, I wasn't born here?
No.
No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I gonna have to pass some test to even be a citizen?
No.
No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing could be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who were my parents, as people? Why'd they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulders, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer.
I'm so sorry.
Aw. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great, so I could never meet them even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Aw. She turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your Ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see that all. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Evie, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. Yeah, I want to know. Sure. Your parents both nodded and seemed to reply, ready to talk. I can leave if you want to have things be private. Yeah, thanks. Lee smiled in understanding before heading down the hall, going to wait in another room till it was over. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself to ask what they were about to tell you. Ma was the first one to speak, her voice quivering with emotion. You were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. We used a different organization that time, and you were adopted within the U.S. We're sorry to tell you, Evie, your parents also passed away, and no other family member took you in, if there were any. That's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry, Evie. It's not your fault. Yeah, you didn't kill him, right? You were trying to lighten the mood, but your moms didn't seem any less grim. Thank you for listening, Evie. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Are you okay?
How are you feeling now? I don't know. I think I would just process it, you know? You didn't have the energy to reply to the probing. That was kind of an answer to the question in itself. No one seemed to have any words left after that. You wanted to see Elizabeth, sure. You were worried about Elizabeth. Even though she had been so angry when talking to your moms about everything, you could see she was clearly sad. You headed over the stairs and up to her room. You left Lee. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, and when you jiggled the handle, you found it was locked. Raising your hand again, you knocked louder, thinking she must have had her headphones on and couldn't hear you. When she didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear that she either still couldn't hear you, or she was just ignoring you. It hurt to be shut out, especially right now. You went up to your room. When safely behind your closed door, you let out a heavy breath before heading over to take a seat on your bed. You lay back on your bed and stared up at the ceiling, tracing the outlines of the old crack and lines up there with your eyes. You had no idea what to do now, so you stayed where you were for a while, thinking everything through. Everyone had been so upset earlier, and you didn't know what you could do to help. Eventually, the sun finished setting, casting long shadows on your bedroom walls until the outside was enveloped by the dark of night completely. A sudden knock drew your attention, causing you to sit up straight. When you realized it wasn't coming from the door, but the window, your head snapped towards it. You didn't even have to question who it was. It was the only person who would come tapping at your window, especially at night. You moved closer and looked out, sure enough to see the familiar head of green hair on the other side of the glass. In only a moment, you had the window unlatched and open for him to enter. He pulled himself in through the window with ease, standing straight in your room and dusting himself off. Cove, what are you doing here? When he saw you, he seemed worried and he ran a hand through his hair before speaking. I came to the front door. I wanted to just come by, but Mom's told me they didn't know if you should be bothered right now, that I should come back later. I know they wouldn't have said it like that if you were working on some school stuff or whatever, so I got worried. I thought something bad happened. And then you climbed up the side of my house. He smiled, feeling unrepentant for disregarding your mom's ruling.
I mean...
How else was I supposed to get in? You couldn't quite believe he had really shown up for you like this, but then again, you shouldn't have been surprised. He was always there for you.
Are you okay?
Well, what happened? He pulled your desk chair next to your bed and sat down, his long legs bent in front of him. You fidgeted a little with your bed covers, not quite knowing what to say, and he was willing to wait. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. His forehead furrowed in concern at your words. Mom and Dad, who gave birth to me, they're dead. Without having to say anything else, he reached out and pulled you into a tight embrace, the familiar warmth enveloping you. I'm sorry, Evie. His words were whispered comfortingly into your shoulder. Aw. Let it out, girl. You started to cry. You pressed your face into the crook of his neck, unable to stop the tears. The hold he out on you tightened. Can you explain everything to me? You nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. He sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then and taking in a sharp inhale. Silence settled between you, and Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you. Evie,
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened to your parents. So sorry. He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what was right to say. I guess I'm sad I'll never get to know them. I'll never get to find out what they were doing or what they were like as people. It's just all gone. Evie, you're not doing anything wrong. You know that, right? I think that you could be as sad as you want for as long as you need. Or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair as he looked out towards the window.
It's okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about it is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different. Aw. Thank you. His words had made you feel better, and you knew it was true. You didn't have to apologize or make any excuses for the way that you felt about it. He smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related, you're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. You felt the reassurance in his eyes. That picture that's on the little nightstand, did I draw that? Did I do that? Is that me? Am I an artiste? An artiste! A knock on the door made you look up, though before you could even move, it swung open and Elizabeth stood in your doorframe. She walked closer, and you didn't know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Evie. You can come back. It's not going to be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. Yeah, I want to talk to you too.
Really?
Oh, then we're on the same page. She made a little move-along gesture with her hands, and it was settled. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. She folded her arms, looking you over. Did moms tell you about your parents too? Yeah, my birth parents also died. She broke eye contact after that. Aw. Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. She raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused, though. Why'd you stop doing that, then? She shook her head as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. Oh, she's mature. Good job, Elizabeth. She sighed and glanced upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened with that everyone breathing down our necks. Thank you for thinking of me. She stuck up her nose a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me.
Hey.
How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the U.S. to become president. What? Yeah, what? Does she want to be a president? You had never heard the dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never going to be president, but it just feels weird. Having stuff taken away and not even getting a chance at it. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was going to have a completely different life. So different that I can't even think about what it looked like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here, and had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died, and I was adopted, and the life I got became totally a new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was, even if I wanted to. A heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. You knew exactly how she felt. It was a confusing feeling, to have lived one way for as long as you can remember, but not having it be what was originally yours. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mom's in the living room, I just kind of said it finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Evie. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I already figured out a long time ago that moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Yeah, you kept listening. Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you'd hope you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the
You'll
corners.
always be my little sister.
Aw, what a babe. I'ma hug you. It took a few seconds, but she gave you a quick squeeze in return. I think I'm really lucky. She seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. We should probably head downstairs and make sure moms are okay. It's been a long day for everybody. You gave her a nod. Down we go. You met up with Cove just outside the room and made a short trip to the lower floor of your home together. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped into the living room, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Why do we have 8 chairs at our dining table? That seems excessive, right? For a family of 4. They both got to their feet when they noticed the arrival, and Ma gave you a careful smile. It seemed that they were too concerned to really register that Cove was inexplicably here now, despite being turned away at the door earlier. We're so glad to see you. Everything's alright, yeah. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. Ma came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
Love you! We really couldn't have asked for better kiddos. We love you. More than we could ever say. Aw. Alright, you're smushing me. You all chuckled, the rumble of laughter shaking you as you continued to hold each other tight. I love you too. Alright, they pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you had all had each other, and you always would. Hey, I hope you're alright. Lee came up towards you, a soft smile plastered on her face. Are you okay, Elizabeth? Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, and you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, though you could tell she didn't quite believe her. I mean, that's our cousin, right? Well, now since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally.
Oh, showtime, baby. Yeah, okay. Why not? You hit the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she hadn't even teased Cove for being part of it. And no matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be there. The two of you have practically grown up together over the past 5 years. Who's got a suggestion? Lee. It should be something we could do here in the house with everyone in the same room. You suddenly remember the show you and Lee had been working on earlier. We could do our show.
Oh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A show? This is the first time we're hearing of this. I'm intrigued.
Wonderful.
It would be amazing if you put it on for us to watch. Oh, yeah. I need to see what you've cooked up. That'd be cool. You smiled at Lee, who returned the gesture while bouncing on her heels in excitement. Let's take some seats and we'll get everything together. Your moms collected the chairs from around the dining table and set them in a row in the living room where there was enough space for the show. While they did that, you and Lee quickly gathered the supplies you needed and rehashed the plan one last time. You listened through the song you had chosen one last time. The backdrop you'd prepared earlier was also ready to go, now that it was needed. What? Okay. Finally, you changed into the outfits you had picked out. When the two of you returned into the living room, everyone was sitting and chatting amongst themselves while they waited. The group quieted down when you and Lee stood in front of them on your makeshift stage. She was buzzing quietly with excitement beside you. Oh, I was... Yep, I was pumped. I was ready. Alright, the time you and Lee put practicing was worth it. You're ready to go. Okay, welcome to our show. We only came up with it today, but we're promising that it's gonna be good. No refunds. Alright, then you nodded at Lee that you were ready to begin. She took in a deep breath, waiting the few beats it took to get into the song, and started singing. Your outfits gave a special element to the performance. The backdrop you'd created gave great atmosphere to work off of. When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers, and the two of you bowed deeply together. Everyone gave a round of applause and cheered for an encore. When you straightened yourself up, you were happy to see that even Elizabeth was clapping for you. Bravo! Bravo!
Good job.
You're so talented! Here's your participation trophy. Okay. Your family rose from their seats and came over to congratulate you more directly. You were beaming from ear to ear. Cove was the first one to approach, stepping up to you and Lee with a smile on his face.
It's nice.
Good job. Nice job. Thanks. Hey, were you the one that saw the backdrop? Yeah, that was me. He smiled, content over his guess being correct.
Not bad.
I thought so. It was good. You couldn't help but feel pleased that he could recognize your talent so easily. Your parents gushed about how great everything was and thanked you for sharing it with them. Elizabeth was complimentary in her own way, although she did describe the show as cute, which you knew she meant as kind of kiddie. You laughed it off, however, and were just happy that everyone had a nice time. In that moment, you could have been more pleased to be a part of the family you had. Aww. Okay, well, I feel like that's good, and then the next time that I play, I guess I'll do 2, and then I'll do another episode of 2. Alright. Well, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!